You have great tech. All you need to do is get in front of the DoD, but your emails go unanswered, your LinkedIn messages are ghosted, and you can't find the right people to talk to. It is a very common problem, and it's a problem that exists for a good reason. There's a whole bunch of companies and not a whole bunch of people in the department to answer the inquiries that come in. But I'm here to tell you there are some awesome ways you can network in the DoD, add value, and get the people that are willing to reach out to industry to engage with you and help you through the process. Let's break it down. First, you have accelerators. If you've never heard of an accelerator program, they take small businesses that are early stage and they educate them on all the things that are going on with the Department of Defense. You have all different types of accelerators. Some of them are going to take a percentage of your company. Some of them are just going to provide information, maybe be run through university. But these accelerators are impactful because they normally have a DoD sponsor that supports them. And if you get into one of these, that sponsor team will go deep with you. They'll help you find different solicitations. They'll tell you about their needs and what's going on in their world. And that kind of helps to get you in front of these end users that you so desire to get your technology in front of. So compete for the accelerators. Many of them are competitive. You have to have good tech to get in, but that's okay because you have great tech. So go after the accelerators, find a way to participate. The next thing we have are industry days. You'll see industry days posted on sam.gov. Some of them are huge. You'll have thousands of companies that show up to these things, or thousands of people. They're huge industry days, and you can feel like you're lost in the weeds on some of those, but don't be afraid to hang out afterwards, go up and talk to the speakers, figure out what offices they work in. 80% of the battle is understanding who works where and what offices are responsible for what requirements. The moment you understand who, you can start working on the how. Who are the right people to talk to? Now, how are we going to go after them? When I was inside the department, the companies I worked with the most were the companies that were helpful to me. There are a whole bunch of different ways that a company can be helpful. They can offer to solve problems for me. They can offer to connect me with someone else when they hear of a problem I have, even if it has nothing to do with their company. That's just being a good networker and a good person. They can follow up without being pushy. They don't give me pitch decks. They never would push their technology in my face all the time. What they would do was connect me with someone that they knew was relevant to the problems I had at the moment. You see, in the DoD, we don't have this long horizon to be looking at what we need 10 years from now, 5 years from now, 3 months from now. Normally, we're putting out the fire of the day. And if someone comes to me with something that's going to be helpful for the day, even when it's not their company, I remember that. It's a company that I want to work with in the future. It's a human I want to work with. This doesn't change. Same way in general sales and industry, you got to build relationships with people. You can't sit behind your computer, send emails, comment on LinkedIn posts, and expect to have a good relationship with your government counterparts. You have to meet with them in person. You have to spend time with them. You have to get to know them, just like you would any other sales contact. Now, not all government people are willing to take the extra step to get to know their customers and get to know the suppliers that are supporting them. This is a problem for sure, but over time, you'll find ways to break down that barrier. If you show up to the events, you show up to the PMRs in person, you ask whenever there's a meeting that you're going to have with them, you ask for it to be in person. Don't be afraid to come into town. Now, you've heard me talk about on other videos, the SBIR program. I know that there's always a bunch of information published with each SBIR call that goes out. You'll have AMAs or Ask Me Anythings. You'll have a whole bunch of different avenues of which you can communicate. If you come at those communications in an aggressive manner, trying to push your tech and sell, you will probably fail. If you come at those communications and those opportunities in an inquisitive manner, seeking how you can help the government end users, seeking what they're most interested in, asking good questions, they will engage with you. That's time they set aside to engage with industry. It's important for the government team to be able to have that time set aside because they have so much paperwork and bureaucratic nonsense they have to deal with inside that they generally don't have the time to engage with industry. Or if you see an office that's pretty forward-leaning at a trade show or an event, they are going to be inundated with emails and meetings after those events. Sometimes it's hard to break through. But the meetings I always took were from the companies that when I needed help the most were there with a good recommendation or were there with a good idea. I loved the companies that would participate in our AFWERX challenges back when I worked at AFWERX They would come in on their own dime and help contribute to our problem ideation sessions. We'd be thinking about the problem. We'd be asking industry experts, what does this problem entail? How should we phrase this? You probably heard me do it in my own videos, but we use acronyms too much. We have our own language that we use, and sometimes that language does not translate to industry the way we need it to. When that happens, the right industry players don't participate. They don't come to the table. So if I have industry involved in the room when I'm ideating on my problem is, they can tell me what's going to land and what isn't going to land with that marketplace. They're giving their ideas. They're helping shape the process. Those are the companies that I pick up the phone for when they call and have a question about a solicitation that I put out. Now, we're fair to everybody. We're the government, of course, but we're also human, right? If you have a relationship with somebody because you've interacted with them in the past and there's a rapport there, you're much more likely to answer their question with more detail, or just spend the extra couple minutes with them that you wouldn't for someone you never met before. So take the time, get out there and meet your customer, meet those government people where they're at. They're in the accelerators. They're doing the Ask Me Anythings for their SBIR program. They're out there at industry days. They're out there doing their ideation workshops. And I can tell you, AFWERXchallenge.com is one of the best websites to go and engage deep with end users. AFWERX takes the time when they do a challenge to go find the no kidding boots on the ground people that are going to be using the product or service that they're ideating on, and they bring those people in. They have a challenge workshop all around it. The Space Force does this very well as too, and they'll go and look at those problem sets with the end users and companies in the room. In many cases, the end users have no clue what cool tech is available on the outside, but that's not the time to talk about your tech. The time to talk about your tech is when they actually ask for a call. The time in the challenge is to talk about the problem itself and how to help that problem and bring ideas and creativity to the challenge itself. The end users will remember the creative companies. They have to, because they need that tech. They need a creative solution because they've gone and bumped their head against the wall so many times going the traditional process. So if you come and you participate, those companies are remembered, those people are remembered, and all of a sudden, when the right opportunity opens itself up, you'll get that contract. I like to teach companies how to get direct acquisitions. Direct acquisitions take work on both parties. They require the company to have a direct acquisition pathway. They also require the government to be willing to trust the company enough to say, you know what? I can go direct to this company. I think I'm going to get a good price, a fair price, and a good capability. I'm willing to sacrifice the risk that it may not be the best price, but I'm willing to sacrifice that for my speed. I want to go work with a company I know I trust. Well, who do these companies trust, or who do these end users trust? Who do these contracting officers trust? They trust the companies they've already met. So it's really important to understand the different types of functions that are in the acquisition chain. You have program managers. They're responsible for cost, schedule, and performance. They're the people that normally generate your requirement. So they're someone that can kind of shape the early stage requirement and say, we need to buy this. This is the thing we care about. It's going to meet a need for us. Then you have financial managers. Financial managers care about a time, purpose, and amount of the funding. They want to make sure the funding that gets put on contract gets expended in an expeditious manner. That means that the companies they work with are going to be billing on a timely manner. They're going to put their invoices in correctly so that the finance manager doesn't have to deal with a whole bunch of extra paperwork because the billing wasn't done correctly. Then you have your contracting officer. Your contracting officer is the voice of the government to industry. They are responsible for making sure there's a good business deal in place, that it's good value for the taxpayer, good value for the company, and that everything's done in according with the FAR and the rules associated with it, or the other transaction authorities that they're leveraging. That contracting officer is the only one that can legally obligate the government to actually spend money. That contracting officer should be your best friend. I was a contracting officer, so I have a deep, deep seated love and respect for the mission that they do, because it's the last line of defense on the government side. And normally it's one of the least respected positions in the government because they don't quite understand we're the last one in line. So when things are delayed, it normally gets blamed on the contracting officer. So really love your contracting officer, take good care of them, find a way to be helpful to that contracting officer. Having clean proposals, being responsive to their questions, all those are good ways to be a helpful person to the contracting officer. The other people you have are your technical advisors. Normally these are engineering folks. You have some logisticians that could be included in that bucket as well. These are normally people that are gonna do the technical evaluation of your proposal. They're gonna look through it. They're normally experts in their area from an academic perspective. Many of them haven't done it anymore. The government hired them to come in and be an expert in aeronautical engineering or whatever area. So they're going to evaluate your proposal from that lens, but know that it's been a long time since they've actually done this, if ever. They may have never been on the doer side, only on the validation side. Normally they're responsible for the engineering, the verification and validation of the requirements. So we validate that you deliver what you're supposed to do. We verify that we have the right requirements for a project. So these are all the players that you have to get to know, and they're going to have different needs from you. You know, your contracting officer is going to want to make sure that you're answering and being responsive. Your program manager is going to care a lot more about the technology, as will the technical team. So be it the engineers or the logisticians. And then your finance guy is going to really care about the back end during contract performance, that you're billing accordingly. If you're finding a way to make all these people happy, trust me, they'll find ways to keep doing business with you, because their lives and jobs are hard enough as is. Why make it any harder? So if you have any interest in learning how to do more of this networking with the government, please like and subscribe to this video. You can reach out to me directly on LinkedIn or at Vince_Pecoraro on Instagram. Thanks and have a great day.